Good afternoon, everyone. Wish you all happy Dasera. क्यों आज डिमोटिवेट क्यों हो गए तुम? अच्छा, परसों मेरे को एक दोस्त का फोन आया था, गुजरात कैडर आईएएस, फ्रस्ट्रेट हो गया अंदर। बताओ। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, मोटिवेशन डिमोटिवेशन सब अंदर से आना चाहिए। What are endogenetic forces? Constructive or destructive? बताओ। Constructive. What are exogenetic forces? So the motivation should come from inside, intrinsic. It will construct. If the motivation is from outside, it will destroy. He doesn't have any. Endogenetic force. Rajendra, you stay in Rajendra Nagar, Patel Nagar. इतने सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं. गर्लफ्रेंड से भाई कि नहीं? शादी का वादा कर दो, एंडोजेनेटिक फोर्स आ जाएगा कि अगर मैं ऑफिसर बनूंगा तो ही मैं शादी करूंगा. यू विल गेट मोटिवेटेड. It is also affected by trees, bacteria, ocean salinity. Ocean salinity, if it is changed, then the amount of pseudomonas going into the atmosphere, it is very minor impact. You can write it in the concept of deforestation, but not in the one point you can mention, but it has not been found. See, there is a mass of cold air here. There is a huge amount of cold air in this region. And this cold air settles on the ground. And there is a warm air in this region. In this entire region, there is a warm air wala region. So as a result of this, the air is rising from this frontal region, and this air is going and settling over the polar region. When the air is settling over the polar region, it is creating low pressure belt in the upper atmosphere. कल के इससे समझ में आया? Because if there is a high pressure below, that means there will be low pressure in the upper atmosphere. As there is low pressure in the upper atmosphere, it results into a wind moving from the upper atmosphere high pressure region to upper atmosphere low pressure region. But due to the Coriolis force, or due to the geostrophic nature, this wind starts moving from east to west in a straight line. This east to west moving air circulation is what is known as jet stream. अब वो कैसे जाएगा? चल रहा है? पेंसिल नहीं चल रही क्या? नहीं. This east to west air circulation which is moving, it will start from the subpolar region, it will go to the polar region, and it will go around the entire globe. This circular movement of the current which blocks the cold air, अब उसके कारण cold air जो है यहाँ की वो नीचे नहीं आ सकती, because ये पूरा इसमें there is a very high speed wind which is moving, and this is what is known as a polar vortex. Right? Why vortex? Because it goes around the circumpolar region. अब whenever you read the newspaper, ऐसे लगता है, ऐसे लिखा जाता है कि polar vortex is a low pressure area over the poles. Fine. अब newspaper does not classify which low pressure area. Then you get confused कि हमने तो टेक्स्ट बुक्स में पढ़ा है, हमने लेक्चर्स में पढ़ा है कि पोलर रीजन इज द हाई प्रेशर रीजन एंड द न्यूज़पेपर इज सेइंग इट इज अ लो प्रेशर रीजन, या करंट अफेयर्स का मैगजीन इज सेइंग इट इज अ लो प्रेशर रीजन. रिमेंबर, व्हेन द एनी न्यूज़पेपर इज सेइंग लो प्रेशर रीजन, दैट मीन्स इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द अपर एटमॉस्फेयर. व्हेन वी से इट इज अ हाई प्रेशर रीजन, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द ग्राउंड. So it goes around the circumpolar region, and this is what is the jet stream has originated. A jet stream, you can see logically is originating in the regions jahan pe there is a convergence of warm air and the convergence of an cold air, means they are both meeting each other. There is a convergence of warm air and there is a convergence of an cold air. As the warm and the cold air is converging, fronts will be formed, and there are two kinds of front. Warm front, jab warm air andar chali jati hai cold air ke andar. Cold front, when the cold air comes inside the territory of warm air. Warm front, when the warm air goes into the territory of cold air. And as a result of this, in the second stage, the jet stream will start meandering. Initially, the jet stream does not meander, but in the second stage, the jet stream will start meandering. This meandering of the jet stream is due to the cold air pushing in the territory of warm air and the warm air pushing in the territory of cold air. अब थोड़ा technically you understand कि initially the temperature gradient or the pressure gradient was only north-south. But due to the meandering of the jet stream, the temperature and the pressure gradient becomes north-south as well as east-west. Getting it? ये भी pressure temperature gradient है. There is a cold and warm air, but here also there is a cold air. This entire region is the region of cold air, and this entire region is the region of warm air. So the pressure gradient and the temperature gradient starts becoming east and west instead of north and south. With the becoming of the east-west pressure gradient, the meandering will start now increasing. Fronts will be forming, cyclones will be forming, anticyclones will be forming in this region, and therefore due to the pressure gradient, यहाँ पे landmass etc. भी है. There, so what will happen is the jet stream will start meandering more and more. And as the jet stream will start meandering more and more, this will result into a proper development of Rossby waves. Initially jet stream starts, initiation of the Rossby wave, this is where the Rossby wave ka development has started, but the Rossby wave have not completely developed, and this is what the Rossby wave has developed. And इतना ज़्यादा meander हो जाता है this jet stream that it comes even in the lower latitudes. It comes up to 20-degree latitudes. Initially it was only in the higher latitudes. It is coming to the 20-degree latitudes because of meandering. So there is a concept कि the polar jet stream is continuous, but the subtropical jet stream is discontinuous. ये बन जाती है फिर polar jet stream. This is what some people call as subtropical westerly jet. कोई भी jet stream will start as a polar jet, and if it meanders more, it is some people say now ये controversial है कि the southern branch of the polar jet stream is nothing but the subtropical jet. Some say no, subtropical jet is totally different. What it is, actually it is a totally different, but yes, the main reason, the main jet stream is the polar front jet stream. Fine, this is the main jet stream. जब वो जितना ज़्यादा कट हो जाएगी, there may be intersection of the meanders, and this intersection of the meanders will result into some of the jet stream again becoming normal, while in some of the jet stream forming the pools becoming discontinuous. And these pools which have become discontinuous, this can be anticyclone, high pressure, this can be low pressure. This can be high pressure, this can be low pressure. And such the pools will be formed. And the southern branch में there will be subtropical westerly jet stream. So this 4-stage model is what is known as an index cycle of a jet stream. Understanding? कुछ नहीं, 4th stage में कुछ नहीं है, सिर्फ ज़्यादा meander हो जाएगा तो ये anticyclone, cold air trap हो गई, ये warm air trap हो गई तो cyclone, low pressure. Understanding? Or high pressure. This is what is the index cycle of the jet stream. Clear? Or this question आएगा, write a short note on you have to write the yesterday's concept as well as this model, and if the question comes, short note on Rossby waves, you have to write this as it is. Clear? साउथ पोल में भी हो रहा है, साउथ में भी हो रहा है, ग्राउंड पे, ग्राउंड पे. रेड कलर, ब्लू कलर इज ग्राउंड सिचुएशन एंड ब्लैक कलर इज द जेट स्ट्रीम, इज द अपर एयर सर्कुलेशन. क्या पोलर वोर्टेक्स पे साउथ पोल में इसलिए नहीं लिख सकते बिकॉज साउथ पोल में होता है पोलर वोर्टेक्स, इट इज़ देयर ओनली, बट साउथ पोल में बिकॉज इट इज़ लैंड ही नहीं है उधर, सो उसका इम्पैक्ट नहीं दिख रहा है साउथ पोल में. नॉर्थ पोल में इतनी ज़्यादा लैंड है कि उसका इम्पैक्ट दिख रहा है. पोलर वोर्टेक्स इवेंट ऑल्सो ऑकर्स इन द साउथ पोल, बट लैंड ही नहीं है, देयर इट इज ओनली ओशंस, एंड बिकॉज इट इज ओनली ओशंस नोबडी स्टेज देयर, उनको दिखेगा नहीं एक लाइट. Fine? Impact of polar vortex का है, winters have become very severe. Polar vortex है ही नहीं, अभी हम polar vortex नहीं पढ़ रहे. What is polar vortex? A mass of cold air that is trapped in the polar regions. So that is what is the polar vortex. What is polar vortex event? जब वो cold air comes to the lower regions, lower latitudes, that is what is the polar vortex event. Polar vortex is different. Fine? Clear with this concept? कुछ नहीं, it's very very simple. You have to just write how the original stage 1 is, how the jet stream is formed. Stage 2 is फिर Rossby waves कैसे develop होते हैं इस jet stream में, and stage 3 is how they are broken into different pressure centers, cyclones and anticyclones. Who said? तो वो इम्पैक्ट है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग का ही. विंटर्स अगर सीवियर होते जा रहे हैं मीन्स कहाँ पे होते जा रहे हैं? इंडिया में. सी व्हेन यू से विंटर्स आर बिकमिंग सीवियर, समर्स आर बिकमिंग सीवियर, दैट इज वेदर. एंड ग्लोबल वार्मिंग का एक इम्पैक्ट है ड्रास्टिक वेदर चेंजेस. So summers will be very very severe like this year, winters will be very very severe like this year, but average temperature of the world is going to increase. That is what is global warming and climate change. Climate change means minimum 32 years ka impact. We are not talking about weather phenomena here, we are talking about climate. So that is why winters क्यों severe हो रहा है. Now suppose because of the global warming this air becomes more hotter, means अगर ये रीजन ज़्यादा गर्म है, इसका टेम्परेचर होना चाहिए 18 डिग्री सेल्सियस, बट ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग इसका टेम्परेचर हो जाता है 25 डिग्री सेल्सियस विंटर्स में. तो हाई प्रेशर लो प्रेशर ज़्यादा डिफरेंस हो गया. Understanding? So the winds which come from the polar regions will come with more severity, and when they come with more severity, 3-4 दिन इतनी ज़्यादा ठंड होगी कि you will say winters has become very powerful. But वो wind क्यों severity से आई? It came because ये ज़्यादा गर्म है. And then when this wind will come, जहाँ पे it should not come, when it comes, it will cause extreme snowfall. And हमें लगेगा winters have become very severe. पर ये कितने दिन होगा? In the month of, when we say winters in India, December, Jan, Feb. मे बी जान के ही 5-6 दिन बहुत ठंडे होंगे, बाकी के दिन टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा होगा. फिर से एक स्टॉर्म आएगा, बहुत ठंडे 5-6 दिन, बट ओवरऑल नहीं होगा विंटर्स, एंड देयरफॉर क्रॉप्स एक्सेट्रा विल बी अफेक्टेड. दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग. सो ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग विंटर्स will become more severe, but that will be only 5-6 days. Because due to global warming, low pressure will be intensified, and when the low pressure will be intensified, a wind known as blizzard, which originates on the poles and comes to India or comes to the lower latitudes, it becomes more powerful. So jitna difference hai between high pressure and low pressure, utna stronger will the wind become. High pressure and low pressure ka difference क्यों ज़्यादा है? Why it is greater between the high pressure and low pressure? Because of global warming. Polar regions में, because sun is not there during the winters, it will be extremely cold in the winters. Heat transfer हो रहा है. But whenever there is a snowfall, that is why heat is getting transferred. No? Winters, the polar region will be very severe, whether it is global warming or not. Snow will start melting in the summers. Fine. So have you written the question, index cycle of the jet stream में? The index cycle of the jet stream, deals with how the jet stream is formed and how this jet stream gets converted into Rossby waves. How this jet stream gets converted into Rossby waves. That is, they become highly meandering in nature. Next. Initially, stage one. देखो पहले ये डायग्राम देख लो, उसके बाद you will be able to properly understand what is this index cycle of a jet stream. Cold polar air, warm tropical air. Fine. Between this is the jet stream. Then the warm air is trying to go into the cold air. So cold air is trying to come into the territory of warm air because of the wind system. Westerly winds है, याद रखो. यहाँ पे. This is not a trade wind belt. Trade wind belt में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. There is a westerly wind system. Because of this, the jet stream has started to meander. Meandering has increased, and जितना meandering has increased, उतना low pressure, high pressure. Fine. This is what is an example of an index cycle. So अब jet stream कैसे जा रही है? Here. And पहले कैसी थी? This way. So this, when the jet stream has started to meander क्या कहेंगे हम? Rossby waves. साउथ पोल पे है ही नहीं ना. इक्वेटर पे कहाँ पे जेट स्ट्रीम्स है? अपर एयर सर्कुलेशन इज ओनली जेट स्ट्रीम, देयर इज नो अदर अपर एयर सर्कुलेशन. कौन सा है और दूसरा? तो नॉर्मली विंड सरफेस पे बहेगी, अपर एयर में कैसे जाएगी? नहीं, क्योंकि नीचे जो विंड है, जब हम प्लैनेटरी विंड की बात करते हैं, इट इज मूविंग ऑल अक्रॉस द प्लैनेट. It may be deflected, but it will not start exactly meandering. Deflection is different, meandering is different. Obviously it will be deflected, but it won't meander. Meander means proper trough and low pressure, height and trough, height and trough. That is what is known as meandering. बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. अगर उसकी हाइट इतनी ज़्यादा है कि वो पूरा एयर मास जैसा जा रहा है, देन ओनली वो मियांडर कर रहा है. ये देखो, अगर उसकी हाइट कम है तो वो कुछ फर्क नहीं डालेगा. दिस इज हाउ द सब ट्रॉपिकल वेस्टर्नली जेट स्ट्रीम इज ऑल्सो meandering. See now that resolution is good. Cold air is pushing here, warm air is pushing upwards. जहाँ पे वार्म एयर पुश हो रहा है, जहाँ पे कोल्ड एयर पुश हो रहा है. और आगे के टॉपिक में इसी को हम कहेंगे वार्म फ्रंट, इसको हम कहेंगे कोल्ड फ्रंट. जहाँ पे कोल्ड एयर कम्स इनटू द टेरिटरी ऑफ वार्म एयर एंड वार्म एयर इज गोइंग इनटू द टेरिटरी ऑफ कोल्ड एयर. यहाँ पे भी टेम्परेट साइक्लोन होगा, यहाँ पे भी टेम्परेट साइक्लोन होगा. दोनों जगह रेनफॉल होने वाला है. द ओनली डिफरेंस इज यहाँ पे देयर विल बी रेनफॉल इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ड्रिजल ड्यू टू निम्बोस्ट्रेटस क्लाउड्स. यहाँ पे देयर विल बी थंडरस्टॉर्म ड्यू टू द क्यूमुलोनिम्बस क्लाउड. Why? Because whether it is the warm front, whether it is the cold front, कौन सी एयर ऊपर जाने वाली है? वार्म एयर. कौन सी एयर नीचे आने वाली है? कोल्ड एयर. And this is what we have written yesterday. Subtropical jet, polar jet. You can see which is more stronger, polar jet stream. सबट्रॉपिकल जेट स्ट्रीम छोटा दिखाया है. meandering, when I say Rossby waves, vertical, horizontally, sorry. हॉरिजॉन्टली हो रहा है. वर्टिकली मीन्स ऊपर नीचे नहीं. जब हम रॉसबी वेव्स की बात करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं, ऐसे बात हो रहा है. तो ऐसे कैसे हो रहा है? इक्वेटर टू द पोल्स. वो कभी पोलार की तरफ जा रही है एंड इक्वेटर की तरफ जा रही है. मियांडरिंग. हम ऊपर नीचे की बात नहीं कर रहे. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द टॉप व्यू, नॉट द साइड व्यू. It is not from ground to top. This is equator, this is pole. When I say meandering means one branch will come towards the equator, one branch will go towards the poles. You can see here. This is the diagram जो हम draw करेंगे. Index variations or index cycle of the jet stream. This is what is the meander. ऐसे क्यों होगा? यू आर स्टैंडिंग हियर. जब ऐसे होगा तो तुम्हारे सर पे आएगा. इक्वेटर के पास क्यों जाएगा वो? अल्टीट्यूड नहीं, लैटिट्यूड. Jets means हाँ सब ट्रॉपिकल इक्वेटोरियल रीजन्स में नहीं होगा. How meandering will occur? That is what we are writing. 4 stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Though both. Jet streams meanders in both vertical manner as well as horizontal manner. Vertical manner का meandering results into formation of cyclones and anticyclones. Horizontal का manner का meandering is known as Rossby waves. What? Planetary winds का movement means? Planetary winds का movement कैसा होगा? From latitudes only. Latitudinal. Wait for. विंड तो सरफेस पे है ना, वहाँ पे हवा चलेगी नहीं, बस इतना ही फर्क चलेगा. वहाँ पे विंड नहीं आएगी, वो ट्रफ एंड ये नहीं फर्क पड़ेगा उससे. इफ यू आर देयर आर इनफ बिल्डिंग्स तो विंड का मूवमेंट इज स्टॉप्ड. दैट इज व्हाट इज द लोकल फिनोमेना में आएगा. Why you are getting confused? हम जब बात करते हैं we are talking only about latitudinal variations. We are not talking about the longitudinal variations. So first we will write, then I will tell you till the time it walk starts. What stage 1? Initially the jet streams are formed. Initially jet streams are formed because of higher temperature, north-south temperature contrast. Higher north-south temperature contrast. The air over the polar region settles. Intensifying the surface high pressure over the poles. Intensifying the surface high pressure over the poles. Intensifying the surface high pressure. These all points will come in stage 1. Air over the polar regions settles, intensifying the surface high pressure over the poles. Full stop. But in the upper atmosphere, a low pressure system develops. Low pressure system develops. Understanding this? You watched yesterday's lecture? You will understand this only after watching yesterday's lecture. So, बाकी समझ में आया कि ऊपर there is a low pressure. क्यों? Because the air has settled down. This results into first stage में. This results into upper air circulation which moves from west to east results into upper air circulation which moves from west to east. Don't study this from Savindra Singh, थोड़ा गलत दिया है, which moves from west to east. Forming a band of circumpolar fast moving air, band of circumpolar fast moving air, ब्रैकेट में लिखना polar vortex, forming a band of circumpolar fast moving air. Initially the jet stream lies close to the polar regions and flows in a straight path from west to east, flows in a straight path from west to east, Next, this jet stream changes in the position from poles towards the equator. This jet stream changes in the position from poles towards the equator. The period of transformation of a jet stream from straight path to wavy meandering path is known as an index cycle. While the wavy meandering path is known as Rossby waves. Wavy meandering path is known as Rossby waves. फिर से पढ़ो, जो भी कंफ्यूज्ड है फिर से पढ़ो. कहाँ से शिफ्ट हो रही है जेट स्ट्रीम? फ्रॉम पोलर रीजन्स टू द इक्वेटोरियल रीजन्स, फ्रॉम पोल्स टू द इक्वेटर. यही लिखा है मैंने या उल्टा बोला है? पोल्स टू द इक्वेटर, राइट? सो दोज आर कंफ्यूज्ड कि मियांडरिंग मतलब क्या? इट इज फ्रॉम पोल्स टू द इक्वेटर, नॉट अल्टीट्यूड. इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट लैटिट्यूडनल वेरिएशन. Fine, and this meandering is what is the index cycle. So this is the diagram for stage 1. You draw this diagram. polar vortex is nothing but a wall of cold air. मैंने जानबूझ के लिखा है, एग्जाम में लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, ताकि ये कंसेप्ट क्लियर हो जाए कि क्यों पोलर वोर्टेक्स फॉर्म होता है. पोलर वोर्टेक्स इसीलिए फॉर्म होता है बिकॉज जेट स्ट्रीम है. ना ना, पोलर वोर्टेक्स क्या है? पोलर वोर्टेक्स इज अ वॉल ऑफ एक्सट्रीमली कोल्ड एयर इन द पोलर रीजन्स. हाँ, shifting of polar vortex to the lower latitudes is polar vortex event. Yes, which causes shifting of jet stream to the lower latitudes. Stage 2, initiation of Rossby waves. See, this is a theory, fine. So stage 5 मत बनाना, अगर इसमें 4 स्टेज है तो 4 ही स्टेज है. Stage 2 is initiation of Rossby waves. Gradual transformation of straight path to meandering path, of a straight path to a meandering path with the march of time, begins in the stage 2, ब्रैकेट में लिखो रॉसबी वेव्स आर इनिशिएटेड. फिर से हम वो स्टेटमेंट नहीं लिख रहे, ये कंफ्यूजन है एग्जाम के लिए कि क्या है ये रॉसबी वेव्स आर इनिशिएटेड. सो यू रिमेंबर इन द ब्रैकेट वाली चीज़ें एग्जाम में नहीं लिखनी है. And you should not write again कि this is the stage of the Rossby waves because you have given the heading of the stage 2, initiation of the Rossby waves. So don't repeat the points. This happens due to the north-south temperature and pressure gradient. This happens due to north-south temperature and pressure gradient. Which causes the marching of the cold air into the lower latitudes, and the marching of warm air in the higher latitudes. Marching of warm air in the higher latitudes. Fine. Second diagram, stage B. ब्लू एंड ग्रीन लाइन्स अगर बनानी है तो बनाओ, ज़रूरी नहीं है. दिस इज जस्ट फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. exam में don't draw this surface winds because we have just seen international diagram, उसमें वो सब नहीं है. Fine. क्योंकि फ्रंट्स फॉर्म होंगे ना, फ्रंट्स फॉर्म होने के बाद एयर ऊपर जाएगी सरफेस एयर. सरफेस कंडीशंस के ऊपर ही तो जेट स्ट्रीम्स डिपेंडेंट है. अगर सरफेस कंडीशन हाई है तो ऊपर लो, अगर लो है तो ऊपर हाई. और सरफेस विंड्स अगर चेंज हो जाएगी तो सरफेस कंडीशंस अफेक्ट होंगे तो जेट स्ट्रीम्स भी अफेक्ट होगा. फाइन. स्टेज 3. In this stage, the meandering further increases. See, this is what we are talking about, meandering.
Fast flowing currents of air.
Are they straight or meandering?
Jet streams that exist at both high and low levels in the atmosphere.
Meandering है. They are not even continuous.
Each has an important role to play.
Right? जो कल का वीडियो देखा था हमने वही है. The same video.
Major jet streams that circle the Earth are found just below the tropicals at a height ranging from 9 to 16 kilometers and can reach speeds over 200 miles per hour. They are hundreds of kilometers wide, but only one in the cold air of the air, one in the warm air.
See, meandering has started now.
The top of each column is
We have seen this yesterday.
South to
This
north.
is a straight path, stage 1.
Coriolis force resulting from the Earth's rotation causes the air to move to the right direction of motion in the northern hemisphere and to the left of the direction of motion in the southern hemisphere. In both hemispheres, the jet stream flows parallel to this temperature gradient, moving from west to east. Theoretically, this jet encircles the Earth.
See, you can see the difference. Northern hemisphere में because it is dominated by the landmass, कितना ज़्यादा meandering है. In the southern hemisphere, the meandering is comparatively lesser.
In a continuous line. But in reality, it is more broken up. As differential heating of land sea masses lead to west.
This is the stage 3. We are going to write the same thing in the stage 3.
As the polar front jet forms due to the temperature contrast, the stronger the temperature gradient, the stronger the jet. This means that the jet is stronger in winter than in summer as the poles cool during the winter months.
We are not talking about up and down. Fine?
In the northern hemisphere, the jet tends to be further south in winter, further north in summer. This is due to the tilt of the Earth, and that in winter,
So, coming to the stage 3.
the northern hemisphere is tilted away.
In the third stage, the meandering increases. In the third stage, the meandering increases and the Rossby waves are fully developed. Underline the word, Rossby waves are fully developed. This is because, next point, this is because the tropical air mass tries to enter the polar regions, while the cold polar air mass moves further towards the lower latitudes. Moves further towards the lower latitudes. In this stage, the southern part of the jet stream is positioned नियर 20 डिग्री नॉर्थ लैटिट्यूड. कहाँ तक आ गई meander करते करते? 20 डिग्री नॉर्थ लैटिट्यूड. 20 degree north latitude. Now we will understand what is happening due to global warming. The meandering is more stronger during the winters. The meandering is more stronger during the winters because Arctic and or because the polar winds become very strong during the winter season. Polar winds become very strong during the winter season. Polar winds become very strong during the winter season. Next point and most important point. In this stage, the temperature gradient starts becoming east-west. The temperature gradient starts becoming east-west. पहले स्टेज में कैसा था टेम्परेचर ग्रेडियंट? नॉर्थ साउथ. अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाई ईस्ट वेस्ट? ईस्ट वेस्ट टेम्परेचर ग्रेडियंट, नॉट जस्ट नॉर्थ साउथ, ईस्ट वेस्ट. You can draw the diagram. That is the stage 3, full development of Rossby waves. Again, there is no need of blue and green color. This is just for your understanding. Yes. जब जेट स्ट्रीम स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी तो इंडिया में वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंसेस स्ट्रांग हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि ये जो है अगर यहाँ पे इंडिया है कहीं तो ये मेडिटरेनियन सी से ऐसे लेके आएगी टुवर्ड्स इंडिया, वेस्टर्लीज को ही लेके आएगी टुवर्ड्स इंडिया. Jet streams are, whatever your doubt was yesterday, that jet streams are upper air circulation, how they cause rainfall in India. They don't cause rainfall, they will drive the westerly winds from the surface towards India. Imagine this is the Mediterranean Sea wala region, fine. This is Africa and this is where is the mainland India. So Mediterranean Sea से surface winds ऐसे India में लेके आएगी jet streams. Getting it? हाँ यही है वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, स्टेज 4. स्टेज 4. As the circulation of jet streams, become more meridional, meridional means north south. पहले circulation was east west, अब it has become north south. Meridians means latitudes, as per the latitudes, north south or meridional. The giant meanders of the jet, the giant meanders, bade meanders or big meanders, the giant meanders of the jet are cut off from the main circulation, from the main circulation. See, इस statement का meaning I'll make you understand now. इसका कहना है कि over the period of from the main circulation, इसका कहना है over the period of time the meandering will increase. It will increase. So as the meandering will increase, some of the meanders may touch each other. As they as they touch each other, so what will happen is when they touch each other, so कुछ part जैसे Oxbow Lake को छोड़ के some jet stream will move because it was initially like this and it got touched with each other. There will be some of the meander का loops, right? There will be some meander का loops और फिर एक नीचे एक giant stream चलती जाएगी. Understanding? बीच में there will be loops. अब ये loop हो सकता है इधर high pressure और low pressure, depend करेगा. So पहले सिर्फ polar region में jet stream थी, बाद में loops join करके meander join करके दो jet streams हो गए. This is subtropical westerly jet stream, ऊपर की रहेगी polar jet stream. Understanding? There is a more and more meandering. As the meandering has increased, and I will use some other color. यहाँ पे जहाँ जहाँ join हो गया, it will flow as a polar jet stream. यहाँ पे जहाँ जहाँ join it has occurred, it will flow as subtropical jet stream. And फिर Oxbow Lakes जैसे this will start become. Getting it? Subtropical jet stream is an outcome of meandering of polar jet stream. Yes, yes. उसके नीचे भी form होते जाएंगे. That is why there are so much temperature differences or weather differences. See, initially it was straight, right? In the second stage, it started meandering, Rossby waves. In the third stage, meandering increased. And in the fourth stage, meandering has increased to such an extent that the loops of the meander have started joining each other. So when the loops of the meander start joining each other, you already know what forms. Air will flow यहाँ पे like this. If this is the polar region, air will start, if this is joined, it will start flowing like this. Subtropical westerly jet stream. बीच में high pressure or low pressure, depending on which air is trapped. If the air is trapped here, low pressure. If the air is trapped here, high pressure. Surface condition. Getting it? Yes. Subtropical jet stream is not originating. You see, stage 1, it has started from the polar regions, and then subtropical jet stream will form. Depend करता है. It all depends. Why it has been trapped? It has been trapped here because it is a cold air will be trapped. Here ऊपर से cold air will be trapped. Here warm air will be trapped. Warm air will be trapped. So here जहाँ पे cold air will be trapped, air will descend. जहाँ पे warm air will trap, air will ascend. Yes, and इसी के कारण जो confusion था, if you are on the surface, jet stream ऐसे 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 भी जाती है. This does not mean meandering, right? Jet stream का meandering means pole to equator. जहाँ नीचे air is rising upwards, लो प्रेशर ऑन द ग्राउंड, जेट स्ट्रीम ऊपर चली जाएगी, यहाँ से फिर एयर ऊपर जाके कूल होगी, डिसेंड होगी, एयर नीचे आ जाएगी, हाई प्रेशर ऑन द ग्राउंड, ये पुश करेगा, यहाँ पे रेन होगा, यहाँ पे ड्राई होगा। इसको देखना है तो दिस इज नहीं, ये थ्रू आउट द ईयर होंगे। ये कभी भी होता है, कभी भी चेंज होता है, इसलिए मॉनसून का इतना ज़्यादा ब्रेक आता है या मॉनसून में इतने ज़्यादा वेरिएशंस आते हैं। It always, that is why monsoon cannot be predicted very properly. Madden-Julian oscillation is nothing but this only. Jet stream ऊपर जाएगी and then यहाँ पे jet stream नीचे आएगी. So when it goes up, it will pull the air upwards, rainfall. When it comes down, it will cause the air to come down. If I want to draw a jet stream on this, it will be, this is surface, here we are. Understanding? That is why study of the jet streams are so important. And how to study the jet stream? The only way is satellites. And that science is now starting. India and France, megatrophic satellite, remote sensing satellites, those only can study. Then they study the data and jet streams का knowledge धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है. Understanding? Plane से आप study नहीं कर सकते. फिर पता लगता है jet stream has an impact on monsoon. फिर पता लगता है jet stream has an impact on Madden-Julian oscillation. And then therefore we have written in monsoon कि one of the biggest negatives of the classical theory was they ignored the upper air circulation, and it is the upper air circulation only which determines the weather patterns. Understanding? Savindra Singh में लिखा नहीं है ये, but PMFIS एक notes है, if you know that, for GS, उसमें ये लिखा है. Why? Because it is new. Understanding? The teacher which will remain updated only knows this concept. The teacher which is not updated, वो कहता है ये गलत है concept. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. In the jet streams. So generally geography में updated रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, but climate में you have to be updated. So where did I stop? Main circulation. This results into immense pool of either cold, denser polar air, immense pool of either cold, denser polar air getting isolated in the lower latitudes, or tropical air, tropical warm air getting trapped in the higher latitudes, full stop. This trapping of the air causes several cyclonic or anticyclonic patterns causes several cyclonic or anticyclonic patterns which affects the surface weather conditions, which affects the surface weather conditions, which affects the surface weather conditions. Which affects the surface weather conditions. You can start drawing. Understood? Cyclones या anticyclones form हो जाएंगे, which is affecting then the surface weather conditions. You can draw this diagram. अब फिर से जेट स्ट्रीम बनना शुरू हो गई, फिर से meandering शुरू हो गया and the cycle will start. That is why we call it as an index cycle. एक बार यहाँ पे जो भी weather हो गया, meandering खत्म, फिर से polar jet stream has started. You can see polar jet stream ऊपर जा रही है. So tell me, what should I write here, high or low? High, and here low. Perfect, then your concepts are clear. Why? Because in 2011 the study was made, and study में ऐसा पता चला कि जहाँ जहाँ jet streams are coming down उसके नीचे deserts है, जहाँ से continuous jet streams meandering नहीं, उसका circulation, जहाँ पे it is dipping, that is anticyclonic condition, उसके नीचे deserts है. So अभी तक हम GS में तीन ही या optional में भी तीन ही reasons करते हैं deserts के, cold currents, then subtropical high pressure belt and offshore trade winds. Whatever the study which has been published in the science magazine, there is a magazine known as Scientific American. In that Scientific American this case study came. It is still to be proved. Once it is proved, the fourth reason hoga because the jet streams there dip. Understanding? On the surface only. High pressure on the surface because cold air is trapped. Low pressure on the surface because warm air is trapped. कहाँ पे लिखा मैंने? ऐसा कुछ नहीं लिखा है मैंने. कहाँ लिखा है? लिखा नहीं तो on the surface only. Stage 1 खत्म हो गया. Stage 1. We are in the stage 4 now. Stage 1 was that anticyclonic upper air circulation. उसके बाद jet streams form हुए. Then stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Yes. You understood? 100%? Because your GS में अब तक यहाँ तक 100%? You understood? You? बाकी सबका जीएस हो चुका है, इसलिए कंफ्यूज तो नहीं हो, बिकॉज शी इज द क्वीन ऑफ कंफ्यूजन. फालतू में बिना मतलब कंफ्यूज होना इससे सीखे. क्लियर? सब एग्जाम के लिए पहले सीधा जाएगा, फिर दोनों एयर्स आएंगी. स्टेज 2 में वो रॉसबी वेव्स डेवलप हो जाएंगे. इन द थर्ड स्टेज ईस्ट वेस्ट ये आना चाहिए. इन द फोर्थ स्टेज कटिंग एंड साइक्लोन्स एंटी साइक्लोन्स. बस meandering ऑफ रिवर याद रखो. यू हैव द इंडेक्स साइकिल ऑफ अ जेट स्ट्रीम. नहीं नहीं नहीं. इट इज बिकॉज कोल्ड एयर इज पुशिंग हियर एंड इसके कारण meandering हो रहा है. इट इज बिकॉज वार्म एयर इज पुशिंग हियर, इसके कारण meandering हो रहा है. हाई प्रेशर है, कोल्ड एयर यहाँ पे ट्रैप हो गई. कोल्ड एयर यहाँ पे ट्रैप हो गई तो वो नीचे आएगी. हाँ, लो प्रेशर ट्रैप हो गई तो ये ऊपर जाएगी. क्योंकि ये बाकी के रीजन से देखो, लैटिट्यूड्स देखो, बाकी के रीजन से ये वार्म है तो ये कहाँ जाने वाली है? ऊपर ही. बाकी के रीजन से ये कोल्ड है तो ये कहाँ आने वाली है? नीचे ही, सरफेस पे. इन द अपर एटमॉस्फेयर. वर्टिकली कहाँ पे? डू वी ड्रॉ डायग्राम वर्टिकली लाइक अ सर्कल? ये डायग्राम का मतलब क्या है? वो उसको पढ़ते ही नहीं है. दैट इज वेरी ऑब्वियस. वो पढ़ाया ही नहीं जाता. You go, you read home. Jet streams like this also meander, and ऐसे जाते जाते they come up and down also. Understanding? Up and down छोड़ दो. Jet streams and surface weather. That is how the surface weather is affected by the jet streams. Tell me the points. You start. आंसर नहीं लिखाने वाला हूँ मैं, इसलिए यू ओनली गिव मी द पॉइंट्स. मॉनसून को कैसे अफेक्ट करता है? मॉनसून एंड वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंसेस एक ही है. तो मॉनसून के समय कौन सी जेट स्ट्रीम आनी चाहिए? कौन सी? वो. देन सोमाली जेट. सेकेंड पॉइंट. Which cyclonic conditions? Temperate or tropical? Temperate or tropical? Temperate. Remember subtropical westerly jet stream in India. What does it bring? जेट स्ट्रीम्स उसको अफेक्ट ही नहीं करती. जेट स्ट्रीम्स की मियांडरिंग देखो, 20 डिग्री नॉर्थ ईस्ट मानसून उसके नीचे. तब तक जेट स्ट्रीम, वेस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम आ जाती है, उसको कोई फर्क नहीं करेगा. फोर्थ, पोलर वोर्टेक्स. 5th, बिकॉज अभी पॉइंट्स खत्म हो रहे हैं. Understanding? It is the jet stream which is responsible for the formation of ozone hole. Where is ozone hole? On the Arctic and Antarctic. क्यों होता है? Due to CFCs और HCFC. कहाँ पे है CFC और HCFC? यूज होता है in the refrigeration industry. Where is the refrigeration industry required? In the Arctic or in the tropics. So we release them और वो चले जाते हैं ड्यू टू इंडेक्स साइकिल इन द पोलर रीजन्स एंड पोलर रीजन्स में जाके वो सेटल हो जाते हैं एंड सेटल होने के बाद अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाई दे गो इनटू द पोलर रीजन्स. Here we are releasing them, but how does the index cycle of the jet stream becomes? It becomes meridional. So all the pollutants which we are releasing, where was that girl from? From Sweden. So it is in the Scandinavian countries. Why they are so angry? They are because whatever the pollution we are doing, jet stream is taking to their countries. Understanding? जितना भी सूट है वहाँ का आइस खराब हो रहा है एंड दे डोंट इवन डू ए सिंगल अमाउंट ऑफ पोल्यूशन. पॉपुलेशन ही बहुत कम है, राइट? आई हैव टोल्ड यू इन द क्लास ऑल्सो, इमेजिन पूरे ऑस्ट्रेलिया के पॉपुलेशन से ज़्यादा पीपल ट्रैवल इन दिल्ली मेट्रो एवरी डे. दिल्ली मेट्रो में मोर पीपल ट्रैवल दैन द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया. सो इमेजिन द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ स्वीडन, नॉर्वे, फिनलैंड. सो हो सकता है राजेंद्र नगर में जितना पॉपुलेशन है उतना हो सकता है इन दोज कंट्रीज. सो हियर दे विल गो. आइसलैंड में क्या है? आइसलैंड में द पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी इज 3 people पर स्क्वायर किलोमीटर. इंडिया में इट इज 360. दिल्ली में इट इज 12,500 people per square kilometer. So all these pollutants go into this region and due to the polar vortex events, when due to the winter season they go and settle in that region. अब winters में वहाँ पे temperature becomes very very less and because the temperature becomes very very less, now understand, this is troposphere, this is stratosphere. Stratosphere का lower layer is ozone. This chlorinated or brominated carbons are inert gases, means they do not react with anyone. So because they do not react with anyone, they do not die. They are carried by the jet streams and due to the winter season they settle on the ground in the lower atmosphere. And in the winter season the polar regions becomes very very cold, high pressure. Stratosphere में due to the ozone there is low pressure because stratosphere का temperature is greater than the troposphere का temperature. Right? And as a result of this there is a jet stream which flows from troposphere to stratosphere जिसको हम कहेंगे polar night jet. It carries all the pollutants and they settle here in the ozonosphere. As they settle in the ozonosphere, due to the presence of UV rays they start reacting. In the normal conditions they are inert, but due to the presence of UV rays they will start reacting. And due to this, ozone in the presence of HCFCs or CFCs react with HCFCs or CFCs in the presence of UV rays as catalyst, breaking down into O2 plus O, molecular oxygen plus oxygen, resulting into formation of ozone layer. Understanding? That is why ozone is formed. Otherwise ozone layer कहाँ होना चाहिए? Above India, above Saudi Arabia, जहाँ पे who is going to use refrigerator and AC at minus 18 degrees Celsius in the polar regions, जहाँ पे average temperature है, but ozone hole सबसे ज़्यादा वहाँ पे है. Strongest ozone hole or the biggest ozone hole is over Antarctica, not over Arctic. क्यों? Because Antarctica is entire land mass, So ice cover is very thick. That means Antarctica pe this high pressure is intensified and the polar jet stream is more stronger, night jet stream, and therefore it carries more pollutants. Getting it? Understanding? Pollution mix हो रहा है ना? That is inert gases ही करते हैं. Why they are inert gases? Because वो destroy नहीं होते. वो 100 साल 200 साल destroy नहीं होते. They stay in the lower atmosphere. But as soon as they go into the upper atmosphere, and why in the upper atmosphere? ये southern hemisphere में भी हो रहा है ऐसा meandering, right? So they are carried to the south pole, and large amount of pollutants are taken in the stratosphere because of this. Why? Because Arctic is a landmass. Population कम है, pollution भी कम है. But Arctic is a landmass, and this Arctic, see, imagine we are doing the pollution, northeast trade winds, ITCZ में, ITCZ से it goes and settles over the subtropical high pressure belt. Settle होने से पहले ही meandering of the jet stream, it takes them to the, imagine southeast monsoon winds, ये सारे pollutants upper atmosphere में लेके जाएगी. Upper atmosphere में जाते ही it will start reacting with the jet streams. Equator पे नहीं, but here. And यहाँ से कहाँ जाएंगे? Ultimately over the polar regions. Polar regions में ऐसे घूमते रहेगी. And winters आते ही नीचे आएगी because cold denser air will settle. And जैसे ही winters आएगा, there is a jet stream which starts only during the winters. It is known as polar night jet. It flows from troposphere to stratosphere. So ये सारे pollutants वो stratosphere में ले जाएगी, resulting into formation of ozone hole. The strength of this jet stream determines the how much pollutants it can take in the upper atmosphere. The strength of any wind depends upon pressure gradient, high pressure and low pressure. Antarctic is land, Arctic is ocean. Land becomes more cooler as compared to the ocean. So pressure gradient is more. As the pressure gradient is more, jet stream is more stronger. Getting it? So ओजोन होल कहाँ ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग है? इन द सेम लैटिट्यूड जहाँ मॉनसून्स है. सो हमारा जो भी पोल्यूटेंट है, अब नॉर्थ ईस्ट मॉनसून कहाँ लेके जाएगी? इक्वेटर. इक्वेटर से कहाँ जाएगा? अपर. अपर से कहाँ जाएगा? हेडली सेल से इट विल ट्राई टू गो टुवर्ड्स द सब ट्रॉपिकल इन द सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर. वहाँ से कैसे जाएगा? इट विल मिक्स विद द जेट स्ट्रीम. इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू सेटल. जेट स्ट्रीम्स उसको लेके जाएगी इन द पोल्स. गेटिंग इट? See, this is how pressure gradient has become east-west, index cycle of jet stream. I wanted to show you this diagram. यहाँ से जितने भी pollutants है in the ITCZ, ITCZ से here, यहाँ से jet streams and ultimately where they are going to settle over the Arctic. So this 4 points should come. So surface weather, first point. Although the weather scientists are not sure about the changing form, FORM form matlab shape, changing form of the jet streams, and its impact on the terrestrial weather, but you can use this even in the conclusion, this line. But there is a close relationship between the jet streams and the surface weather. There is a close relationship between jet streams and surface weather. See, we are not writing GS का answer कि you can directly start with these are the impacts. You have to tell कि अभी तक it has not been scientifically proved. There is no close relationship. There is only a close relationship. We do not know the effect, cause and effect. See, इसका reason I am telling you. If you search on the net, you know किसी भी medicine of Ayurveda you take, and you know कि it will cure XYZ disease. आप लेते हो, आपको ठीक भी लगता है, बट आप नेट पे ढूंढोगे तो वो कहेगा इट इज़ नॉट प्रूव्ड. एलोपैथी इट विल बी प्रूव्ड. सो जो चीज़ें का कॉज एंड इफेक्ट पता नहीं है कि हाउ इट इज़ गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट, कैसे एग्जैक्टली इम्पैक्ट करेगा, जिसके ऊपर आप थियरी नहीं बना सकते. यू कैन नॉट मेक अ थियरी ऑन एनीथिंग, वेदर इट इज़ आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन, वेदर इट इज़ होम्योपैथिक मेडिसिन, वेदर इट इज़ एनी मेडिटेशन एंड उसका इम्पैक्ट ऑन द स्ट्रेस. व्हेन इट कैन नॉट बी प्रूव्ड, you will call there is a close relationship. So exactly this has happened with the jet streams. So there is no exactly cause and effect relationship. So therefore some scientists do not agree, some scientists agree. In fact जो मैंने आपको book दिखाया था बैरी एंड चोरले का, उसमें लिखा है कि jet streams do not impact the surface weather. But UPSC ने आपको past year में question पूछा है impact of the jet streams on the surface weather. Understanding why these deviations are there? Because they cannot be proved. Same thing was said about meditation, but then when the ECG ये सब आया, brain scanning आया, MRI आया, तो after doing meditation they could see how what the chemical changes are occurring in the brain, what are released, what are not released, dopamine is released, then prove हो गया कि हाँ meditation से stress कम होता है. Understanding? That is why this line is very important for optional, whether you put it in introduction, whether you put it in conclusion. Getting it? Next, as the more upper air data is available, our knowledge of the nature and the behavior of jet streams, our knowledge and the nature and the behavior of jet streams is bound to increase, but there are some closely related data such as ये पॉइंट नहीं आता किसी को. First, the position of surface fronts मतलब fronts on the surface. Why are the fronts formed? Due to convergence of air masses. Depends upon the meandering of the jet stream. Understanding this point now? Fronts is caused due to convergence of two air masses. So यहाँ पे भी front है, cold and warm air mass, यहाँ पे भी front है, So जितना ज़्यादा meandering of the jet stream, उतना fronts are going to shift southwards. जितना less meandering of the jet stream, उतना fronts will remain only in that position. Fronts means temperate cyclone. In this case, when the meandering is not there, frontal belt is located only in this. If the meandering increases, frontal belt can come even here. That meandering increases in the winters. That is also we have written in the stage 3. Because Arctic winds become more stronger in the winters. And therefore, fronts develop in the North India during the winters. Understanding? Because the meandering increases. And this front is nothing but temperate cyclone. And western disturbances is nothing but temperate cyclone. Getting it? You will understand western disturbance is nothing but a temperate cyclone. Western disturbances में 2 बार बारिश होती है. Once the rainfall is very gentle and once the rainfall is very heavy. This is how the structure of the western disturbances is. And western disturbances always flow from west to east, because upper jet stream is flowing from west to east. This phenomena which I have made on the board is temperate cyclone. This phenomena which I am making right now on the water body is the tropical cyclone. Understanding the difference? ये है tropical cyclone. I am shading this part, तुम्हें समझ में आ जाएगा. This is wall, this is eye, this is water. It is totally different from temperate cyclone. Tropical cyclone में there is cumulonimbus cloud, इसलिए it is dangerous. यहाँ पे there are normal clouds, इसलिए it is not dangerous. Right? That is our next topic now. Second, the mid-latitude cyclones. The mid-latitude cyclones means nothing but temperate cyclones. The mid-latitude cyclones are largely controlled by the jet streams. Are largely controlled by the jet streams. It has been proved that in the regions where the jet streams are fast moving, the surface condition is more suitable for rainfall. The surface condition is more suitable for rainfall. Surface condition is more suitable for rainfall. Now understand, ये है jet stream in the upper atmosphere. यहाँ से हवा बहुत ज़्यादा फास्ट मूव कर रही है इस रीजन से, बिकॉज हवा बहुत ज़्यादा फास्ट मूव कर रही है, इसलिए नीचे की हवा टू रिप्लेस ऊपर जा रही है. सो व्हाट इज दिस? लो प्रेशर. एंड अगर इस हवा में इफ दिस सरफेस विंड में देयर इज मॉइस्चर, देन इट विल फॉर्म clouds and give the rainfall. जहाँ पे jet stream does not move very quickly, that means there is a piling up of air, and because of the piling up of the air, there will be on the ground there will be high pressure. Understanding? And then we will say that winds move from high pressure to low pressure. Getting it? Winds move from high pressure to low pressure. Full stop. On other hand, where there is a piling up of air, an air, in the jet streams, the surface conditions are stable, promoting dryness. The surface conditions are stable, promoting dryness. And now you can draw the diagram. Now ये जो meandering है, this is not meandering, this is up and down movement of a jet stream. Understood? Cyclonic, anticyclonic. क्लियर? सो यहाँ से हवा इतने फास्ट मूव कर रही है कि नीचे की एयर ऊपर जा रही है. बिकॉज नीचे की एयर ऊपर जा रही है, दैट मास ऑफ एयर इज इंक्रीजिंग एयर, एंड एज द एयर इज गोइंग अपवर्ड्स इट इज बिकमिंग कोल्डर, एंड बिकॉज इट इज बिकमिंग डेंसर, सो ऑब्वियसली आगे जाके वो नीचे आएगी. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? यहाँ पे नीचे आएगी, इसलिए यहाँ पे एयर सेटल हो गई. सो अगेन दिस एयर विल गो अप, हल्की हो गई बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द एयर हैज सेटल्ड डाउन. हल्की हो गई इसलिए इट विल नाउ मूव फास्टर. फिर से साइक्लोन, फिर से एंटी साइक्लोन. गेटिंग इट? दिस विल कीप ऑन हैपनिंग. फाइन? Third point, jet streams bring westerly winds. Jet streams bring moist westerly winds. Jet streams bring moist westerly winds into India during the winters, to India during the winters. Causing western disturbances, causing western disturbances, causing western disturbances. Fine, ये point explain करने की जरूरत नहीं. Fifth point, tropical easterly jet plays an important role in the intensity and the distribution of Indian monsoons. Intensity and the distribution of Indian monsoons. ये भी पता है आपको, right? And the last point in the surface weather, jet streams, sorry, the polar night jet stream, which originates during the winter season, over the polar region, takes the atmospheric pollutants, from the poles towards the equator, from the poles into the lower stratosphere, This pollutants form polar stratospheric clouds, clouds बनते ही they have become stable. Remember, polar stratospheric clouds, which causes depletion of ozone layer. Sixth point, polar vortex, polar vortex event, हम कल पढ़ेंगे ये in climate change, polar vortex event. And अगर पूछा गया significance of the jet stream, then only you should write the seventh point. If it comes in the surface weather, you may not write. The significance of the seventh point is modern aviation industry uses path of jet stream for determining the air routes, ROUTES. That is what I told you yesterday. कि अगर pilot skilled है and if he is flying in the same direction of jet stream, he will put the plane in this. Fine. If he is flying in the opposite direction of the jet stream, और अगर लंबा जाना नहीं है, if he wants to go only for a shorter distance, he will put it inside. अगर लंबा जाना है तो he will flow above the jet stream. But when he is flowing above, he will come across the loop of a jet stream which is going up and down, and this causes then turbulence, air pockets जिसको हम कहते हैं. Fine. If the jet stream suddenly goes down, this plane will suddenly go down. The pilot has to be extremely skilled. Fine. When the pilot is going inside the jet stream, thoda turbulence. When it's coming out of the jet stream, thoda turbulence. But this is the reason why sometimes when the traveling distance is 2 hours, flight reaches only in 1.5 hours, even between Mumbai to Delhi. क्यों? ऐसा जा रहा है jet stream, meandering loop. Understanding? हाँ, वो मैंने लिखाया था इसलिए फिर से रिपीट नहीं किया. वो ऑब्वियसली वो पॉइंट्स आपको एनलार्ज करने हैं. साइक्लोन, साइक्लोनिक रेनफॉल होता है, फ्रंटल रेनफॉल. इफ यू लुक एट द डायग्राम, ताइगा में ऊपर है तो ऊपर क्या बन रहा है? लो प्रेशर. सवाना, डेजर्ट. इक्वेटोरियल रीजन अलग है. इन द सब ट्रॉपिक्स एक्सेप्ट फॉर मानसून, बाकी सब में रेनफॉल कम है. क्यों? मानसून में क्यों ज्यादा है? क्योंकि वो यहाँ पे है, ईस्टर्न कोस्ट ऑफ द कॉन्टिनेंट्स. ट्रेड विंड्स कंटिन्यूस आ रही है. फाइन. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द जेट स्ट्रीम्स. Fronts. Don't write anything in fronts. इतना easy topic है. Let me first explain you. Fine. What is a front? Front is a zone where two contrasting, just keywords you remember, air masses, means huge body of air, converge. Fine. So two contrasting air masses converge. Two contrasting air masses means one air mass will be having high temperature, one air mass will be having low temperature. जो हाई टेम्परेचर है उसका मॉइस्चर कैपेसिटी विल बी ग्रेटर, जो लो टेम्परेचर है उसका मॉइस्चर कैपेसिटी विल बी लेसर. जो हाई टेम्परेचर है उसमें प्रेशर विल बी लो, जो लो टेम्परेचर है उसमें प्रेशर विल बी हाई. सो इफ द टेम्परेचर ग्रेडियंट है तो ऑब्वियसली मॉइस्चर एंड प्रेशर डिफरेंस होगा ही. बट फॉर द फ्रंट्स टू फॉर्म दे हैव टू कन्वर्ज, दे डोंट हैव टू डाइवर्ज. इफ यू लुक एट द वर्ल्ड मैप, ITCZ, there is convergence. There is convergence. But both of these air masses are same, so there will be no fronts. Fine. In the regions of subtropical high pressure belt, there is a divergence. So again there will be no fronts because one of the key condition is they have to converge. So where will be the convergence? Convergence is occurring in the regions jahan pe we have polar easterlies and subtropical westerlies are coming together, and therefore these are the regions of fronts. Right? So fronts are always formed in the higher latitudes. Theoretically they are formed in the higher latitudes, but in reality they are formed even in the low latitudes because of the meandering pattern of the jet stream. ये हमने significance में पहला point लिखा है. Find the position of the fronts as determined by the meandering of the jet stream. Now what happens in the fronts? Whenever the fronts are formed, the warm air is going to go up, the cold air is coming to come down. Fronts 10 minute का topic है. Fine. We generally fronts past year question भी directly simple आएगा. So when the cold air is trying to enter in the territory of warm air, fine, इस region में हम कहेंगे the air which is active is cold air because it is trying to enter into the territory of warm air, and we will call this as a cold front. The region जहाँ पे warm air is going into the territory of cold air, which air is active? Warm air, and we will call this region as the warm front. Why do we study front? Because frontogenesis, the origin of the front, is responsible for cyclogenesis. That is origin of cyclones. Frontolysis, that is the death of the fronts, is responsible for cyclolysis, death of the cyclone. Frontolysis occurs in the third kind of a front, which is known as occluded front. So हम तीन मेन फ्रंट पढ़ने वाले हैं, कोल्ड फ्रंट, वार्म फ्रंट एंड ऑक्लूडेड फ्रंट, और एक नाम के लिए फ्रंट है, दैट इज स्टेशनरी फ्रंट. Past year question, what do you understand by fronts? Examine the weather conditions associated with fronts. Fine. Recently past year question, how frontogenesis causes changes in the weather conditions. Means आपको लिखना है regarding these three fronts. You don't have to write majorly regarding the stationary front. What is a cold front? जब cold air goes into the territory of warm air. What is a warm front? When the warm air goes into the territory of cold air. What is the occluded front? When the front does not, when the cyclone will start dying, when the cold air will be there on the ground. What is the stationary front? कि दोनों air are facing each other but they are not converging. Fine. So in reality, there is very rarely is the stationary front form. In reality, most of the front are either cold front and warm front. So सबसे पहले, what is a front? So if we consider this as a ground surface, if we consider this as a ground surface, on the ground surface, imagine there is a cold air which is coming, blue color, and there is a warm air which is coming, that is the red color. When these two air will converge, what will happen? The cold air will be coming on the ground, right, because it is colder and denser, and the warm air which is lighter will be going upwards. So as a result of this, there will be a boundary, and this boundary between the cold air and the warm air, imaginary boundary, is what is known as front. Understanding? So front is a boundary where the two contrasting air masses converge. Now what happens in the cold front? I will take an example first of the warm front, not the cold front. I will follow the way what happens in our lower latitudes. Warm front, matlab warm air is going into the territory of cold air. So which air is there on the ground? Which air is there on the ground? Cold air is there on the ground. Warm front में cold air is there on the ground, because और warm air कहाँ पे आ रही है? In the territory of cold air, means it is occurring in the higher latitudes. Now this warm air knows that the cold air is heavy, and therefore ये warm air ऐसे खुद ऊपर जाने की कोशिश करेगी, and this warm air will go upwards. Understanding? जहाँ जहाँ there is a cold air, the warm air will go upwards, and as a result of this, this boundary is what is known as an warm front. Gentle boundary. This is an area. Fine. As the warm air is going upwards, it will start cooling. Understand this very properly. It will start cooling. ये पूरे region में cool हो जाएगी, and it will condense. It will start cooling. It will condense. It will start cooling. It will condense. It will cool. It will condense, resulting into formation of nimbostratus cloud, altostratus cloud, cirrostratus cloud, and cirrus clouds in the sky. Because it is associated with the nimbostratus cloud, it will start giving rainfall or snowfall. Fine. So what happens in the warm front? सबसे पहला point should be there is temperature inversion, short-term temperature inversion. This short-term temperature inversion is not this temperature inversion, is removed by rainfall. How is the rainfall? Rainfall can be heavy, rainfall can be gentle, rainfall can be moderate. Most probably it is moderate, but without lightning and thunder. Fine? Because warm air moves upwards along a gentle slow. Khatam hai warm front. It is very easy topic. Getting it? Any doubts? Upwards, because the cold air is heavy, denser, and the warm air does not have the strength to displace the cold air from the ground. जब भी वार्म एयर एंड कोल्ड एयर होगी तो हमेशा वार्म एयर ऊपर जाएगी. एयर कंडीशनिंग में क्या हो रहा है, वो छोड़ रहा है कोल्ड एयर हैवी है, वो नीचे आ रही है रूम के ग्राउंड लेवल पे सरफेस पे जो वार्म एयर है उसको उठा के ऊपर फेंक रही है, ऊपर जा रही है वार्म एयर, फिर वो एयर कंडीशन उसको कूल कर रहा है, फिर वो कूल होके डेंस हो रही है, फिर ऐसा सर्कुलेशन हो रहा है रूम में. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? ये वेस्टर्लीज है ना, यहाँ पे सब ट्रॉपिकल हाई प्रेशर बेल्ट है, ये सब पोलर लो प्रेशर बेल्ट है. सब पोलर लो प्रेशर बेल्ट पे फ्रंट्स फॉर्म हो रहे हैं. ये वेस्टर्लीज है, रेड कलर इज वेस्टर्लीज. ये छोटी विंड नहीं है, वेस्टर्लीज है. इट इज स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम सब ट्रॉपिकल हाई प्रेशर बेल्ट एंड इट इज फ्लोइंग टू सब पोलर लो प्रेशर बेल्ट. अंडरस्टूड? एनी अदर डाउट? 100% हुआ, आगे बढ़ा है वाजीराम में, ये आया हुआ है टॉपिक. लास्ट टू लास्ट वीक. बट यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? Can I continue? What happens in the cold front? Cold air is coming into the regions of warm air. So what is there on the ground is warm air. Understanding? What is coming is cold air. Huge amount of cold air is coming. And see, cold air is very slow moving air because it is denser. Understanding? It is moves very slowly. And at the point where the cold air and the warm air will touch each other, in this point, it will take the warm air and throw it upwards, vertically. Not gently, it will throw it upwards vertically, resulting into formation of very steep boundary. And this steep boundary is what is known as an cold front. Understanding? Whenever this warm air goes upwards, vertically होते ही which cloud? Cumulo. ये सब ऐसे cool हो रहा है, याद रखो. Cumulonimbus cloud ऐसे क्यों है? Because see how the air is being thrown. So ये सारा region cool हो रहा है. And hence this will result into formation of a huge cloud which is known as an cumulonimbus cloud. And जैसे cumulonimbus cloud, then the rainfall with lightning, thunder. Wherever the temperature difference between the warm and cold air is huge, it results into formation of tornado and water spout. So which country is famous for tornadoes? USA. Why so? Why not in India? Because India में there is Himalayas which does not allow the warm air, cold air to come. In Europe there are Alps which do not allow the cold air to come. In USA there is no east-west mountain, and therefore cold air comes to the southern states, resulting into formation of tornadoes. What is water spout? When the tornado occurs on the water body, when the cold front occurs on the water body, it is known as tornado. This, can you see? And see, हमारा diagram ऐसा ही है. cold front. Understanding? This is what is the tornado. What is happening? Warm air is being thrown upwards, and this is what is the cumulonimbus cloud ka formation. Cold front. Cold air hai, I'll show you in another diagram. Jahan jahan there is a cold air, wahan pe the sky will be clear. Jahan pe there is a warm air, the sky will be having clouds. So tornado ke boundary pe ek side mein the sky is extremely clear, ek side pe the sky is extremely cloudy. This shows warm air and cold air. This is a perfect diagram. Cold air, warm air, cold front. Getting it? This is what is the water spout. You can see water is moving, and this is how water is thrown upwards, because this is a low pressure belt, and then obviously it will result into clouds. Water spout again. So that is why ट्रॉपिकल क्लाइमेट इज बेस्ट सुटेड फॉर ह्यूमन बींग्स. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, सिर्फ बारिश ज़्यादा होती है, धूप ज़्यादा होता है, बट यू सी नेचुरल डिजास्टर्स विच आर देयर. इसकी हाइट देखो और स्काई स्केपर्स की हाइट देखो. फाइन. इफ इट कम्स नियर द, इट विल डिस्ट्रॉय एवरीथिंग. टेम्परेट में वेदर कंडीशंस आर वेरी वेरी बैड. सिर्फ एक अच्छी बात है कि समर्स आर नॉट दैट स्ट्रॉन्ग. therefore Alan Sample says that Indians are extremely lazy people because nature has blessed them. They are dishonest, they are crooked, and they are meant to be ruled, while the temperate regions ke people, because they face the adversities, they have to be honest with themselves, and thus they are honest in their everyday dealing. They are very tough because the nature has not blessed them. They have to fight against the nature, and because of this fighting spirit, they will be the rulers. Fine. This is what is known as determinism. That is, climate will determine our everything. And therefore UPSC ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि most of the geography is Eurocentric, because उनको लगते हैं Europeans are at the. एक फिर बाद में क्वेश्चन पूछा था that radicalism challenged the Eurocentrism in the geography. So radical was a school of geography which came through American school. अमेरिका में ही पैदा हुआ था ये. The person was black और उसने कहा था what you talk about Indians, what you talk about Asians, what determinism talks is totally false, because the destiny of Europe and America is made from the raw materials of Asia. The industrial revolution of Europe is by robbing Asia of its natural resources. Getting it? So that is the school in geography, two different schools in geography. This is what is known as dichotomy and dualism in geography. That is our coming topics. Getting it? Now what is going to happen, whether it is the warm front or whether it is the cold front, what is going to go upwards? The warm air is going to go upwards in this manner, or the warm air is going to go upwards in a gentle manner. And what will be on the ground? On the ground there will be cold air. On the ground there will be cold air. Fine. So ground pe there will be cold air in any kind of a front. When the cold air is totally found on the ground and upper there is warm air, then such kind of a front is what is known as an occluded front. Why it is known as occluded front? Because occlusion means death and front matlab sloping boundary. जब sloping boundary ही नहीं बचेगी, then it is known as an occluded front. Occluded front results into temperature inversion. Getting it? और ये जो phenomena जब join हो जाता है, then this phenomena is temperate cyclone. और ये किस direction में जाएगा? West to east. Why? Because of jet streams. Getting it? So fronts and frontogenesis, frontolysis and temperate cyclone. So our topic will be सबसे पहले air masses and fronts. These topics are so easy, and then cyclones, temperate and tropical cyclones. These topics are very, very easy. Give me a minute. So I took the fronts earlier so that you should understand what is the cyclones, and then fronts क्यों हो रहे हैं so that you understand how the interaction of the fronts क्यों हो रहा है because of the air masses. So what is the air mass? Air mass is a huge body of air which is caused due to the interaction of the gives rise to fronts. So अगर कल question आता है what is the importance of an air mass? Air masses give rise to fronts and fronts give rise to cyclones, and cyclones then will give the rainfall in the higher latitudes. So we will start with a very small topic, that is the air masses. When you do the air masses and if you ask your seniors, they will say topic तो बहुत easy है air masses का, but generally वो छोड़ के जाते हैं because the questions which come on the air masses are dangerous. Air masses are of two type. देखो पहले सब समझ लो फिर हम लिखेंगे. What is an air mass? Air mass is a huge body of air that originates on a certain homogeneous surface. For example, we'll take this as a land mass. I'll take a very simple diagram. This as a water body. Now what is an air mass? Air mass is a huge body of air which has same properties horizontally. Vertically is not that important. It is more or less the same properties horizontally. And if this is our imaginary region, there is one air which is found here, there is another air which is found here, there is a third air which is found here, A, B, C. So you look at the air A. Some part of the air is on the sea, some part of the air is on the land, and therefore this is maybe dry and this may be moist. What is the definition of air mass? Horizontally the properties should be same. So does A classify to that definition? No. Fine. What is the definition of the air mass? Horizontally the properties should be same. Yes, it can be same, or horizontally the properties should be same. That means, can I say the air mass is developed on vast areas of either land or the oceans. Now suppose if this B is somewhat like this, mountains, plateau, plain. Will it have same properties? No. So sirf land pe nahi, air masses will develop in the regions, because obviously climate will keep on changing here. Air masses will develop on the regions of the vast continental plateaus or continental plains. It will not develop in each and every regions. So कहाँ कहाँ है ये ऐसे regions? So if you look at the, because if you follow this in the books, the vast regions are maybe one here. This is a huge region. Don't go by the maps ka size. This is another huge region जहाँ पे mountains वो सब नहीं, except for the Urals, but बाकी के जगह it is same. This is the third huge region. This is again the fourth huge region. This is the fifth huge region. This is the sixth huge region. This is the seventh huge region. This is the eighth huge region. This is the ninth huge region. 10th, 11th, fine, 12th, 13th. मैं ऐसे क्यों डिवाइड कर रहा हूँ, एक ही क्यों नहीं? Because you have to remember, one is in the temperate region, one is the tropics. ये गर्म होगा, ये ठंडा होगा. Now these are the some of the huge regions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. जिसमें I am rubbing these two regions because these regions are not the regions where the air mass will originate. Why? In spite of huge landmass, Brazil के आसपास या अफ्रीका के आसपास air mass originate नहीं होगा, because for the air mass to become an air mass, for the wind to become an air mass, it should remain stable over a certain region for a minimum 3 days. Then it will take up the properties. And यहाँ पे ITCZ है. ITCZ means instability. एयर यहाँ पे आते ही ऊपर चली जाएगी. एंड देयरफॉर द रीजन्स ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द एयर मास, जो टेक्निकली कहा जाएगा सोर्स रीजन्स, दे आर नोन एज द सोर्स रीजन्स, आर ईदर huge continental interiors in the temperate latitudes or in the higher latitudes, or huge maritime regions in the higher latitudes, right? Or huge maritime regions in the lower latitudes, middle latitudes, huge continental regions in the middle latitudes. So I can say India में air mass नहीं develop होगा because यहाँ पे there are mountains, Himalayas, Kunlun Shan, Tain Shan, Altun Shan, फिर हिंदू कुश, सुलेमान, पामीर्स, और ये पामीर नॉट है. यहाँ पे इतने ज़्यादा माउंटेन्स है कि यहाँ पे एयर मास डेवलप नहीं हो सकता. सो बेस्ड ऑन दिस कैन आई से दिस एयर मास इज कॉन्टिनेंटल, दिस एयर मास इज मैरीटाइम. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? दिस एयर मास इज ऑल्सो मैरीटाइम, बट डिफरेंस इज दिस एयर मास इज मैरीटाइम पोलर एयर मास, दिस एयर मास इज मैरीटाइम ट्रॉपिकल एयर मास. दिस एयर मास इज कॉन्टिनेंटल, क्या पोलर एयर मास. इफ अगर ये एयर मास है तो दिस इज अ कॉन्टिनेंटल ट्रॉपिकल एयर मास. दैट मीन्स एयर मास देयर आर 6 सोर्स रीजन्स इन द वर्ल्ड. ऑप्शनल में ये सब करना है प्रॉपरली, जीएस में ऊपर ऊपर से करो, कभी क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा, डेफिनेशन से काम चल जाएगा. बट इन द ऑप्शनल्स देयर आर 6 सोर्स रीजन्स. फाइन. कॉन्टिनेंटल इंटीरियर्स ऑफ साइबेरिया, द वास्ट रीजन्स ऑफ सहारा, कॉन्टिनेंटल इंटीरियर्स ऑफ कनाडा, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean and Southern Indian Ocean. उसमें maritime, उसमें polar, उसमें this thing. So ऐसे करके there are 16 air masses. कितने हैं? 16. It is very easy. So I can say air masses are basically of 2 types: maritime air mass or continental air mass. Don't draw this diagram. Everything is in the printed notes. I'll give you before tomorrow's lecture. Fine. Maritime air mass or continental air mass. Clear? M stands for maritime, C stands for continental. Maritime air mass can be maritime polar air mass or maritime tropical air mass, capital P, capital T. Similarly, continental air mass can be continental polar air mass or continental tropical air mass. Clear? This air mass can be also classified into warm and cold air masses. If the air mass after originating, winds usko ek jagah se dusri jagah le jayegi. If the air mass has temperature lower than the temperature of the area it visits, समझे? Not कि air mass का temperature -10 degree means it is a cold air mass. If this -10 degree visits in the area जहाँ पे temperature is -20 degree, which is more warmer? -10 degree. So if the air mass is having a temperature lower than the temperature it visits, it is known as cold air mass. If the air mass is having temperature higher than the temperature of the area it visits, it is known as warm air mass. So based on this, we have maritime polar, depend karta hai summers and winters pe. So the maritime polar air mass can be maritime polar warm, small w, maritime polar cold, small k. Maritime tropical can be maritime tropical warm air mass, maritime tropical cold air mass. Continental air mass can be continental polar warm, continental polar cold. Continental tropical warm, continental tropical cold. Fine? Any of this air mass, see if it is going from ocean to the land, it will take moisture and give the rainfall on the land. If it is going from land to the ocean, it will not give the rainfall. So based on this, any of this air mass can be classified as stable or unstable. So maritime tropical warm air mass is further classified as, very easy topic, इसको छोड़ के मत जाना. Maritime polar warm stable, maritime polar warm unstable, U. Maritime polar cold stable, maritime polar cold unstable. Maritime tropical warm stable, maritime tropical cold unstable. Sorry, warm unstable. Maritime tropical cold stable, maritime tropical cold unstable. Continental polar warm stable, continental polar warm unstable. Continental polar cold stable, continental polar cold unstable. Continental tropical warm stable, continental tropical warm unstable. Continental tropical cold stable, continental tropical cold unstable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. ये है सारे 16 types of air masses. Very easy. Getting it? अब सिर्फ आपको UPSC पूछता है what are the impacts of maritime tropical cold, continental tropical cold, etc. This is. So, anyone having past year questions? Questions in climate are very direct. I'll read the questions जो हम करने वाले हैं अभी topics पे. Compare the origin and the weather conditions associated with tropical and temperate cyclones. They ask you, this is the most common question. Fine? discuss as to how frontogenesis contributes to weather instability. मतलब frontogenesis और rainfall के बारे में आपको लिखना है. Fine, warm front and cold front precipitation. Classify air masses and explain how CP air mass affects global climate. So which air mass? CP. So you have to tell CP can, if it is warmer, it will bring hot waves. If it is colder, it will bring cold waves. If it gives rainfall, if it does not give rainfall. You have to just enlarge this CP air mass. अब आगे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है MT air mass, MP air mass और CT air mass. सिर्फ you should know the some examples कि कहाँ कहाँ जाएगा continental polar air mass. So continental polar air mass जब नीचे की तरफ आएगा, during it will be stronger during the winters. When it will come to the lower latitudes, it will give more. It will bring cold waves. Generally, this air mass is dry air mass, but sometimes it becomes wet also. If it is passing through the Great Lakes region of Canada and USA. Understanding? Local geography हमें पता होना चाहिए. So continental polar air mass कहाँ पे originate होगा? Either on Canada or either in Siberia region. So if it is coming on the Canada region, यहाँ पे lakes है, right? So it will take the moisture and give rainfall to New York, etc. If it is coming in the Siberia region, so obviously it will be an example of a dry air mass. So in the Siberia region, this air mass is blocked by Himalayas, and therefore India में there are no cold waves. But the northern part of the Himalayas have more snow cover. पूरा application based है ये. If you know the map, you can write this answer. Fine? Such air mass do not develop in the southern hemisphere because of the absence of land mass. It is more or less around Antarctica only. It does not affect the climates of the southern hemisphere. And generally these are the questions which students find difficult because they are not given properly in our books. So air masses हम नहीं लिखेंगे. Air masses, I will give you a handout. We will be writing regarding this micro questions. Fine? Because books में नहीं है ये. उसके पहले वाला क्वेश्चन फिर से रिपीटेड. कंपेयर एंड कॉन्ट्रास्ट द ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन एंड टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन है, राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन रॉसबी वेव्स एंड जेट स्ट्रीम्स. मीन्स यू हैव टू राइट व्हाट वी हैव रिटन टुडे, द इंडेक्स साइकिल ऑफ द जेट स्ट्रीम्स. What is polar front? How does a cyclone develop along this front? Describe the weather conditions associated with it. So when these fronts which we have studied, all these fronts will develop in this region, right? Due to westerlies and easterlies. We will call these fronts also as polar front because they occur in the subpolar low pressure belt. Questions are very direct. Question 2001 में discuss the concept of air masses and present their classification. And फिर से make a comparative study of tropical and temperate climate. फिर से define air mass, how they originate, classify them and state their characteristics of any one type. And these are the kind of the questions. So getting it, how to study this topic. And in the recent years, शायद UPSC को इतना अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है ये area, so questions have reduced. What? हाँ, फ्रंटोजेनेसिस पे आया था, CPC, वो जो एयर मासेस पे क्वेश्चंस कम है. Right? So before I start, have you brought the local wind का handout? Did you find any difficulty in this? You have not got it? Whose handout is this? You have taken print out. see it is in your PDF, it is in colors, so वो ज़्यादा easy है identify करने के लिए. So I am coming to blizzard. I'll give you after the class. Blizzard is strong, bitterly cold wind accompanied by the masses of dry, powdery snow or ice crystals with poor visibility. What are the key words here? Bitterly cold, dry, powdery, ice crystals. Intense blizzard reduces the visibility to almost zero. The term is derived from the gales experienced in USA in winter, but now it is used widely for all such phenomena, especially in Antarctica. So that is not that important. In Canada and northern parts of USA, it often disturbs the calm of winter anticyclone. It is most dangerous over the open prairies of North America. In the polar areas, particularly over the Antarctic continent, these are very frequent in some areas and become very severe at times. Blizzards may continue for days altogether. Term Adelaide in Antarctica is frequently visited by blizzards and aptly known as the home of the blizzards. Fine. कुछ नहीं है, local wind है, so you should just know that it is extremely cold local wind. वहाँ पे you add one more point, that is blizzards originate from the cold polar regions due to intense winters. From the cold polar regions due to intense winters. Intense winters. In USA and Canada, this winds can affect the southern states of USA. These winds can affect the southern states of USA due to absence of east-west mountains. And therefore, they are known as norther Next, the blizzards from Siberia, known as Buran, does not affect the southern regions because of mountain systems, The intensity of the blizzards increases during the polar vortex events, And the last point, blizzards sometimes cause the formation of cold fronts and tornadoes in the prairie regions of USA. and the tornadoes in the prairie regions of USA. And you can draw this diagram. Understanding Q is called northern कह रहे because it is coming from north to south. In the prairie, I'll write the spelling. Grasslands है. और Q, इधर Q है. You should remember यहाँ पे Gulf Stream है. So यहाँ पे warm air mass. This is a cold air mass. And therefore, this is the zone of tornadoes. Right? So I'll stop here. As a Dasra, you all have cold coffee from my side.